Welcome once again to Talking Horror with Midnight's Edge. I'm Tom Connors, your master of ceremonies, and with me is the goddess of gore herself, Miss Mecha Random 42. How are you doing tonight?
I'm good. That's me. I'm the goddess of gore. The only one left.
Well, you get that title. So yeah, we're thinking about trying to do this on Saturday nights. We'll see how it rolls. We got a little bit of news this week, as anticipated or we figured was going to happen. We got a Child's Play trailer. Yay.
Yay. Oh, it was all right.
I don't know. I mean, again, okay, let me try and look at it from this aspect. If, and then this is if, the original series still wasn't happening, and God forbid, like Brad Dourif had passed away, and Don Mancini and those guys had no desire to be attached to this whatsoever, if the series wasn't still ongoing, of all the reboot trailers I've seen, this might actually would have been one of the ones I'm like, I might give it a chance.
Yeah.
In certain respects, they're trying to do something different. Okay, I give them that. They're going back more to the original script. Chucky doesn't look horrible from what we've seen. He looks a lot like Chucky to a point. But the original series is still going. This is the most pointless reboot ever. I swear. Like, worse than Ghostbusters almost, in a way.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to, be hyperbolic or anything like that. I just for some reason it just doesn't feel right. It almost feels like cheating on a spouse or a significant other in a way, because the original's still happening. It's not like they've gone anywhere.
I know.
Last were fairly, successful, even though they were straight to video and Netflix or whatever. They did pretty well. And I know some people don't like the way that the franchise went. I get that. But there was a lot of people who were back on board after Curse of Chucky kind of took it back more to the horror roots. But here we are in this situation where it's like, this is the most pointless remake, and it's obviously a cash grab. And I've been so many Twitter spats and comment spats with people, and I made one comment on the trailer on the actual official page, and I got 100 and some responses in I don't know how many hours that were just negative, like, well, then fuck off, or you're just an old man, get off my lawn shit. It's like, all I said is, no, I'm good. I already got Chucky, or I got the real Chucky, or something like that. I don't remember the comment.
We've already got one.
But I'm so glad I seen Jennifer Tilly come out, and she kind of, I don't know if she started the hashtag, but it's out there now.
Yeah.
Not my Chucky. That made me laugh out loud, literally.
Yeah.
So yeah, you did a video about this. Tell us about your reaction to the video, the Jennifer Tilly stuff, everything.
I wish I would have reacted to Jennifer Tilly's tweet. I might still do it, but it looks all right. I mean, it's at least shot in color. It's probably not going to be something I'm going to see in the theater, but like I said, we've already got Chucky. We're still in Chucky. We've got this series coming up. We've got, we've got Chucky. We've got real Chucky. And then, like, I didn't care that they went kind of funny, because that's horror. Horror was kind of ridiculous. I mean, he's a killer fucking doll, right?
Like, I totally understand people who don't like Seed of Chucky, but come on, let's face it. Bride of Chucky was a breath of fresh air. I mean, it was something we hadn't really seen in horror before, as far as like, yeah, you kind of got into a little bit of comedy with Scream to a point. But to me, Bride of Chucky was like a very pleasant surprise. I didn't expect it to be that funny, and also still gory, and I thought it kicked ass. Yeah, Seed of Chucky had its moments where it was really corny. I get that. And Glenn/Glenda probably wasn't the coolest character ever. I know she gets a lot of hate, but everybody loves Tiffany. Tiffany's still around. And spoilers, if nobody's seen the last movie, just about everybody involved with the series has been retapped and brought back in some way. Everything is still canon. They have, referenced everything that's happened before in some way, shape, or form in the last two movies. and they've found a way to mix the horror more back in. And I know some people didn't like the last movie, and I get that, but that's obviously where the series is going to go. And if that's not for you, then obviously this new reboot is. And I don't know. I'll probably go see the new reboot, but I'll definitely pay for something else. I'll go pay for Toy Story, go see Toy Story first, and then maybe I'll accidentally walk into the wrong theater and see Child's Play.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll probably wait on it. It's one of those movies I'll probably like either pick up in a 20-pack and never ever like watch eventually. Because that's how these movies are for me. Like, I don't know, we already have Child's Play. We already have it. It doesn't look terrible. It kind of makes me want to play the video game Tattletale, though. That's what it really reminded me of, with the little toy coming to life. You know, the electronic toy coming to get you.
Yeah. And that's just it. Like I said, the sad part is this would probably be one of the few reboots I would have been on board with if we didn't still have Chucky. It's just pointless, you know. And they talked about actually rebooting the movie a few years back. MGM really wanted Don Mancini to do it, and they wanted to have Brad Dourif come back, but just reboot it. And he knew that was a dumb idea. That's why he continued on with Curse of Chucky at the time. So it was like, I don't know. I mean, we just had Cult of Chucky. It just came out last year. It's not like it's 10 years old.
I know.
You know, it'd be different if we hadn't had Chucky for 10 years, but...
Well, I think maybe people think that we don't have Chucky for 10. That's how these Hollywood types can be. Like, they don't know anything. So they probably just assume.
If Curse of Chucky wasn't such a big hit on Netflix, I'd be right there beside you going, yeah, that's the problem. But it was a fairly big hit. It was a big enough hit on Netflix that they made us another one, and they're making a series now. So, I mean, they obviously did well enough, because that's a lot of the comments are like, oh, Don Mancini drove it into the ground anyway. It's like, no, he didn't, or they wouldn't keep making them. It's like, that makes no sense whatsoever. And you really think MGM would make a reboot if they didn't think there was any money in Chucky, and them basically muddying the waters? And that was another thing, okay? I don't know how they managed to pull it off, but they got the ability to use the name Chucky, because as some of you, if you've been listeners to the Talking Horror podcast since back when Susan was still on here, you know, she had basically confirmed what I had heard too, was that due to the rights situation, they weren't originally able to use the name Chucky. That's where Buddy came in, and Buddy was originally the name of the doll in the original script.
And that's so weird. They still left the Buddy on his little name tag, and somebody commented that it's kind of like My Buddy, but they can't use My Buddy because My Buddy is the doll, like the actual doll.
Yeah, I don't know who did. I think we had, was it Hasbro or Mattel that did My Buddy? I can't remember.
I think it was Play School originally, maybe, but
could be. Yeah, you're right. But I wonder if they let the copyright lapse or something, perhaps. Because I can't imagine why MGM would go ahead with this now, because like you're right, that was the whole reason they changed it back then to Good Guys. Because when the script was originally made, My Buddy hadn't come out yet. My Buddy had come out in the interim of between when Don Mancini wrote the original script and when they started making the movie. So between that time, they're like, well, obviously we got to change this now, because we can't have My Buddy or we're going to get sued. But it worked out for them because it just helped the movie that much more. And plus, I'm sure that inspired the look more of Chucky too. Even though I've seen early concepts and he didn't change that much, I'm sure that they pulled a lot from My Buddy doll.
Yeah.
Because actually, Chucky actually was more of a comment on the Cabbage Patch craze, which I'm sure you remember.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, God! Women were fighting in stores to get them. You couldn't find them anywhere. They were the hugest thing.
Yeah, so that was kind of more so what that movie was originally supposed to be. And I've gone into it a million times what the original story is supposed to be. So I'm not going to get into that now. You want to hear that, you can go back to some of our older podcasts. I don't want to waste everybody's time because it's late and we got some other news to talk about. But I don't know. I want good movies. I want them to try something different, and this is not it, unfortunately, because we still have Chucky. If we didn't, it'd be a different story. And remember how the Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street remakes turned out, and Halloween 2 remake. And we just had Halloween 2019. What did they do? They went back to the original series. This is like the opposite of that. So I don't understand. I know this started happening before that came out, but still.
Yeah, it's so frustrating. I'm so tired of reboots. I'm so tired of remakes. And I guess the best thing to do is just not see them, not pay to see them, because they're never good, with the exception of Battlestar Galactica. They're never as good as the original.
And it's going to get killed in the box office. I don't care. I mean, it might do okay, but if they would have opened it like this weekend instead of June when they're planning to.
Oh, no one's going to see it. People still be seeing Avengers.
Well, not only that, Toy Story opens the same damn day.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody going to give a shit about Child's Play when Toy Story 4 is there. I don't care. Because like I said initially, when they first announced they're opening on the same day, it's like more adults are going to want to go see Toy Story 4 than kids are even going to want to go see Toy Story 4. So I don't see Play making much more than $6-7 million this opening weekend.
Well, yeah, because you got to think of this like the adults who saw Toy Story as a kid, like they're all going to go. You have a whole generation of kids who have no idea what Toy Story is, probably, or barely do. Yeah, I just don't like reboots and remakes. I'm so tired of them.
Right.
That being said, it looks interesting.
Even if they would have done this before Curse of Chucky, maybe, because there was 2 long periods there where we didn't have any Child's Play movies. There was like almost 2 10-year periods where we didn't get anything. Not quite 10 years, but it was like 98 to 2004. So that was like 5 years. And then there was like 10 years there between Seed of Chucky and Curse of Chucky. So yeah, if they'd have done it in that time period, maybe I'd have been on board. But yeah, I mean, there's not much else to say other than that. I mean, but you did seem a little upset that they used the theme was the courtship of Eddie's father.
Yeah. Well, it just makes me want to watch that instead, like, or play the video game Tattletale. Like, I don't know why they couldn't just make some new toy line if they want a toy to come to life. That's like an art that has that AI, you know. It's an evil
there's
AI.
enough differentiation here to where they could have done something completely different. You're right. I agree with you there. That would have made sense. You know, and you could have called it anything else. It could have been a buddy doll still with the whole get up on that part. Just not make it Chucky, but then that wouldn't have made money.
No. So. Well, they could have made it a Furby, though.
And right, you could have gone anywhere with it.
Yeah, or licensed the Tattletale game that was like, they were different enough from Furbies to not be like sued. But they were still kind of in the spirit of Furbies. So they could have created something in that spirit, too. They could have done something completely original, but they never would have. Right. Without this stupid name attached, because Hollywood doesn't understand anything ever and just wants to reboot shit for all eternity.
And I mean, we know the story's wildly different than the other one, so whatever. But again, we know that part of the reason why everything has to be different is the same kind of situation with Star Trek. You have the rights in 2 different places. And a lot of the people I've argued with don't understand this. Yeah, MGM owns the rights to the original Child's Play and stuff like that, but they sold the rights back to David Kirshner, who was the original producer, and then he went over to Universal and made them all the rest of the sequels over there, and they've been there ever since. So again, you have a situation where the rights are split up, and that's where I was surprised they were able to use Chucky, because Susan said that she had talked to somebody who was in the production, and they kept saying that the director kept calling the doll Chucky even though they weren't able to use the name. So at some point, they must have found a way to use the name. And my guess is they shot it 2 ways. They shot every scene. Anytime somebody says Buddy or Chucky, they probably shot 2 different versions. I can't verify that, obviously, but I'm just taking a wild guess in the dark.
I don't even think they probably just have them come in and overdub, like ADR it. They probably would.
Well, he says it pretty plainly, Chucky, in the commercial, and you could see him saying it. Because I was looking to see if it looked like he said Buddy, and they just covered it with Chucky. But unless they're misdirecting us, it's somebody else in the movie's named Chucky.
Maybe.
I thought about that.
Well, because his shirt does say Buddy on it.
Well, it's the Buddy doll. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, that's true. But they would all have that name.
But they've been ambiguous to this point if he was going to be called Chucky tonight or not. This is the first inclination that we've had that his name is Chucky, and there is nobody listed in the cast for Chucky, period, on this remake. So they're either holding back who's doing the voice on purpose, or Chucky doesn't have a voice.
Oh, God. Will that be
So
better or worse if he doesn't
I
talk?
don't know. And thank you, Mark Fields. My guesses are usually pretty damn good. Yeah, well, that's just because I know the business enough to where, especially when it comes to rights and shit, because we do it so much for all the other stuff, that this is actually a cakewalk compared to some of the Star Trek shit, because it's pretty cut and dry. They sold the rights back to David Kirshner, because back then, I can't remember the name of the company offhand, but some family-oriented religious company bought MGM, and they didn't want to make horror movies anymore. They had pretty much flat out said, we're not going to make horror movies. And Child's Play 2 was already well into production. Like, it was getting ready to shoot and everything. And they're like, and Child's Play was a huge fucking hit in 1988. It was the second highest grossing horror movie next to Nightmare on Elm Street 4, which, if anybody knows, that was the highest grossing one at that point until Freddy versus Jason. And that was a big deal. Mm-hmm. So for that movie to come in, that's not a bad deal for that movie to come in second to that. You know what I mean? If it would have come out any other year, it would have been the number one horror movie, because Child's Play just was a big hit when it came out. And compared to what Friday the 13th and Halloween's made, because I think it made $35 million, which with inflation would be like 75 to 100 million now or so. Oh, for a little horror movie like that is amazing. So, and the sequels did much better. Or actually, the first one I don't think made that much, but I know Bride of Chucky did really well. Like
I saw the first one in the theater when I was a kid.
I want to say Bride of Chucky did okay. They got 44 million. Is that worldwide then for Child's Play? That's probably worldwide. And then I want to say Bride of Chucky did like 100 million worldwide altogether. But I'm just pulling these out of my head right now from memory, so I'm probably off by quite a bit. But I know they were big hits. And the only ones that didn't really make money was like the third one and Seed of Chucky were the only two that didn't really make any money. So it just makes no sense to do this, other than you're just going to get a bunch of people confused, or you're going to start fights, which they have. But we've went on about this one pretty long. And we need to get to the next story, which isn't going to take us long anyway. You're a Creepshow fan?
I think I liked it, but I don't remember much of it. It's been so long.
I like them both. They're pretty much like Tales from the Crypt and all the other EC horror movies. Yeah. Production has begun on Shudder's Creepshow series. Stories and directors are announced, so that's kind of exciting. Check that out on Bloody Disgusting if you want to get into a lot of the details. But Shudder has announced production has begun. The Walking Dead's Greg Nicotero is executive producing. It is based on the iconic 1982 anthology film written by Stephen King and directed by George A. Romero. They got 6 episodes, it looks like. So there you can see on your screen what the specifics are as far as the title and who's directing it, or who wrote it, I guess, one of the two. So yeah, I'm not against this. It makes sense. I mean, it's like we were kind of saying with the whole Tales from the Crypt thing before. Like, this makes more sense because they didn't have a Crypt Keeper, really. I mean, they did, but they didn't. Like, they don't have anything attached to Creepshow that's going to stop it from happening or stop it from being good, because you can't have something like the Crypt Keeper. Which, to me, I was like, if you can't have the Crypt Keeper, I don't want a Tales from the Crypt. Just make it something else. Mm-hmm. This is like making it something else, in a way, to me. So this might be fun. Shudder's done a lot of good shit.
Yeah, there's no reason not to have it. I mean, as long as they're not just going to redo the original stories. That's kind of the issue I see with these.
I don't think it looks like, because they look like they're all original stories, which is something we griped about Twilight Zone, because isn't that what they're doing, is just remaking some of the classics?
Yeah.
See, this looks like it's all new stuff here, obviously. And they are making a big deal out of the fact that they have original stuff here. So that's cool. I'm all for it. The only thing I would have been kind of neat is that they had Stephen King write one of them.
That'd be cool.
That would have been cool. But hey, it is what it is. I'm not against this. This makes more sense than the Tales from the Crypt thing if you can't have the Crypt Keeper anyway.
Yeah.
At least in my opinion. So could be worse.
Yeah, yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say, like, why have Tales from the Crypt without the Crypt Keeper when you can do this, or you can do any of the other sort of even in the EC universe, you could do like Haunted Fear and Vault of Horror stuff, just say, "Hey, it's the Vault of Horror," because probably 2 people are gonna know who the Vault Keeper was.
Right, right. Or I think he was the creep or something like that in the
Or
second
yeah,
one.
the creep or whatever.
Yeah, well, there was 2 different ones. There was the skeleton one in the first one, and then there was the gravedigger guy or whatever in the second one,
Yeah.
the creepy guy or whatever. So yeah, you could just either do a newer version of one of those characters or come up with something new. You don't necessarily need a crypt keeper per se, and that's the other thing is this was more attached. This was of all these kind of ones that are based on the EC comics, this one really paid homage to him the most, I want to say, because everyone would start with the comic book and it would flip with the pages, and then they would, zoom in and do that really cool dissolve from the comic book page to the live action scene. And so they could just do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It could just be like like the beginning of the, have a comic book blowing in the wind like they did in the one movie, and every time we're in a different situation and scenario, and a hobo picks it up and starts reading it or something, whatever. You can get creative with it, but at least you're not tied down to something like the Crypt Keeper here.
Mm-hmm. So I wonder if it would like increase like a new comic run.
Maybe.
Or a reissue of the old stuff.
Well, yeah, because comics are rough shape right now.
Like that was the only ones I liked.
I don't know if they've had a horror revolution again in comics, have they?
God, and well, I guess Walking Dead, but that's so boring, and I don't
that's
count
true.
it.
I totally forgot about that. See, that's how that's gone now. That's kind of like, yeah.
But no, like I would love, like, God, I have this in my wish list, like the Tales from the Crypt horror, like the hardbound novelization of the comics. Because I have in my wish list, it's like $500. I'd love to get it. So maybe if they could like re-release something like that, because I collect
print.
Yeah, because I collected them all as a kid when they came when they had all the reissues back when
a lot
comics.
of these were worth a lot of money because these were ones that they got pulled from stores and parents burned, and
these were holy shit. Yeah, your mama find them.
Yeah, that started the whole thing against comics with Frederick Wortham or whatever his name was and all that shit back in the day. Where they were he was trying to say that comic books were responsible for all the juvenile delinquents and stuff.
It's always something.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what's going on in horror this week, guys. Not much else. What's going on in the chat here? We got
there's that Prodigy movie.
Yeah, I saw the trailer. It just looked like any other, Omen / killer.
Omen meets The Conjuring, maybe.
Yeah, kind of thing. It might do all right. The Lego movie isn't doing so well, so that might help the Prodigy movie a little bit. But no, again, they should have opened Child's Play this weekend instead of in June. I think it would be much better.
Well, opening against the Lego movie? Would have that been a good idea for Chucky?
No,
though?
It wouldn't have hurt it. Not as bad as Toy Story.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing with Lego movie compared to Toy Story. Toy Story, you're going to steal a lot of the adult crowd.
That's
Lego
true.
movie is still a majority a kid thing, to where that was the movie where if you were going to take your kids and dump them off on one movie while you went and seen Child's Play with the wifey, that was it. That was this weekend. Because nobody evidently gives a shit about Lego movie 2.
Yeah. Well,
I forgot it came out, so that means they did a piss poor job of advertising. But yeah.
Yeah, I think I barely noticed it coming out too, but I have no interest in that one. So
I didn't hate. I actually liked the first one a lot, and I didn't think I was going to. I mean, I understand you said you didn't because we've talked about it before, but I'm surprised it's not doing better. I mean, maybe the weather is affecting that a little bit, but I doubt it. I just don't know if there was much interest in it. And I don't think Lego Batman was as good as a lot of people think it is. Too.
I hated Lego Batman. I hated that one.
I was bummed out by it.
I think that one was just the stupid jokes, the pounding you on the head with, oh, he's alone, but he's alone, but he's alone. Okay, I got it.
Perfect situations, I think, where you see a character and you're like, they should make a whole movie out of that character. And then you see it and you're like, yeah, probably not. Because obviously they're only funny in chunks. And they did all the best jokes already in the Lego movie. So, You know, it was just an extension of that, and it was just like, yeah, it's all the same shit. You know.
Yeah.
And Mark Field said the second Lego movie was blah. That's another thing. Maybe word of mouth started getting around. Even Eric Kelly says Lego Batman was meh at best. I just remember everybody was saying it was so great when it came out, and I'm just like, it wasn't that great. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was cute, but it was kind of like the whole Spider-Verse thing, where I'm like, it's not that much better than any other straight to video thing, and I don't get why it's getting such praise. I guess that's just me. Like,
Oh, it pissed me off. I was like actively trying to. I think I got up to do dishes when I was like in the middle of watching it. 'Cause I'm like, I don't want to watch this movie. It was boring. I think I ended up nodding off a couple of times, and I was pissed off that they kept with that theme of, oh, one, he's alone. He needs a family. Okay,
Yeah,
I got it.
the family thing got a little old. Like, it didn't have the best. Yeah, it didn't have the best plot. They just we're way off topic now from horror. But if you like what we do here, I suppose we might as well wrap her up since there isn't much else to talk about.
Yeah. Well, we're kind of off season for horror anyway.
Kind of. Normally, it wouldn't be. This used to be the dumping ground for horror. Was January and February and March.
Yeah.
Outside of October and August, because that's generally January, especially, is when you dump the movies you didn't think were going to do anything, and they'd open up a lot of little horror movies because that's when they'd make some money. So I don't know. Horror just isn't what it used to be, unfortunately. But we do have this show, and I'm trying to be positive about horror, and when everything that comes out is the same as the last thing, even when it's a quote unquote original movie, that's like the Prodigy thing. You brought that up. It's like, how many movies do we have that are just like that? Seriously.
Well, that's kind of how I'm getting with superheroes, though, too. It's like, okay.
To a point, I understand that. Yeah. I mean, the only ones I'm real invested in anymore is the Marvel ones. So,
yeah.
And that's just, I want to see how Infinity War plays out. That's kind of my most anticipated movie of the year so far at this point. And frankly, yeah, other than that, I'm sick and tired of the haunted house, haunting of Exorcist type movies. And I wanted to like Halloween 2018 more than I did, but I won't take anything away from that movie because I'm glad that movie was able to do what it did, because I'm hoping and praying that opens the door for the slasher genre to make a big comeback, which it's due.
I would be really happy with like a funny slasher thing, because like we were talking about with Seed of Chucky and stuff. Some of my favorite movies are movies like Return of the Living Dead and like the Pandemonium. It's a funny parody slasher movie. I love the funny horror stuff. Polish Vampire in Burbank, another funny horror movie. I don't like it when they're so too brutal and they take themselves too seriously.
That's the problem. Things have gotten too brutal. Every movie is a constant, and they don't even know how to build tension correctly and stuff, unfortunately. But it's this constant like droning, high-pitched, squealing, eerie sounds instead of an actual score anymore in the background. Jump scare after jump scare. And all of it's done in the computer, so none of it is like, oh, how did they do that? Or you're so taken out of the movie at some points, and it's like, I just don't care. They don't know how to build these characters anymore. I mean, I've heard good things about like, Hereditary, and was it Quiet Place, stuff like that. I have yet to see them, but again, those movies seem more like mainstream art house kind of movies than they do horror.
Yeah.
I like you said, I want good old fun horror movies back. And kids nowadays, they want too much intense shit, it seems like. And of course, I don't want to try and single anybody out. Not all kids, but a lot of the younger generation now, like you said, they've got to be that hard-edged Rob Zombie type, in your face, nonstop, brutal, to the point where the sound, and that's what I was getting to, where the soundtrack hurts your ears because it's just this nonstop droning and crap in the background, and I can't even make the noises. They're that weird, but it's like, what happened to a good scary score, good simple stories. I mean,
God, even Nightmare on Elm Street with the little synth
yeah.
score, you know?
Oh God, I just got the soundtracks not too long ago to all the movies.
Oh, nice.
Comparison to oh, and fuck it, since we're not talking about soundtracks and horror now, this is y'all here. Well, I'll cover this for a second. You know, you don't get this shit anymore like you used to. And I don't think I'm going to get a strike on this because I got permission to use them in the video. So I'll play this. Everybody will know this when I get it started here finally. But no, they don't play good horror anymore. Like the horror themselves, the movies aren't the same anymore. But like, listen to this. You should know who this is. Now that's a score.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, somebody out there's got to get it.
Oh, we're waiting for them to play.
Since we're on the subject of Child's
Wasn't that
Play.
Killer Clowns? No, that wasn't.
No, Upper Master.
Oh, okay.
I interviewed, Entertainment Wizard got it. I interviewed Richard Band. He's done more than that. He's done tons and tons of movie scores, not just horror. But again, it's a guy, he knew exactly when we got into I love talking to him. It's a great conversation. He understands scores, and you got to there's little things like that just matter anymore that you don't get. And that was one good thing about Halloween was the score.
Well, that's how music is today. There are some bands I absolutely love and some bands I hate. And there was this whole video that kind of explains how music is produced today and how they just kind of turn and amplify every single sound. There's no subtlety, there's no nuance, there are no quiet moments. And there's so many bands they're just too loud, and I just can't take it because it's just a wall of sound in your face all the time. There's no subtle nuances. And you know, what bands do I actually listen to? Bands like Ghost, who don't have that, who, you know, have perfectly fine songs where it's just a guy singing with two guitars and that's it. But, you know, I like the soft stuff, you know. I like the atmosphere building and the use of minor keys. That's so important. You can have weird sounds that you can incorporate, but when it's all sounds, you're not making music anymore. You're just making noise.
And that's all it is anymore with a lot of these. It's just a lot of noise. And that's what I was getting to is, this droning, weird, eerie, just to kind of set you in the mood. You know, it's like, give me a good score and that'll set me in the fucking mood.
So many of these new horror movies and shows even are kind of only really aiming for that crowd that's going to piss themselves screaming for every jump scare. You know, these are the people who you say, oh yeah, this building's supposed to be haunted, and they start getting like all screamy and tense and they're like, oh no, I saw something. It's like, okay, chill. It's a dark building. It's okay. You're not gonna die if something gets you. And that's not the kind of horror that I find interesting, you know, just when they have like a jump scare and noises. And that was one of my problems with It, even. They had a little too much of that.
And for some reason, everybody's bringing up It when it comes to the remake thing. That shouldn't even be, just because of the same producer, it shouldn't even be in the same argument as Child's Play. Two different fucking animals there. You got It, which was a TV movie from 20 fucking years ago. Okay, fine, remake it. I have no problems with that. My problem with the It remake is that it was basically a remake of the old fucking miniseries. On top of, they missed a lot of story that should have been in there, and it's not as great as to me as everybody's making it out to me. The best part of the movie is the kids. That's it.
It was fine. I mean, I'd prefer Tim Curry, but
oh yeah, that's the other problem is Tim Curry is above and beyond better as Pennywise.
It's
and
like,
I talked to Tommy Lee Wallace, who directed the original It, and he hasn't seen the remake yet, but he agreed with me. He's like, I've seen the trailers too, and I understand. What kid would go near that fucking clown? The whole point of Pennywise and Tim Curry got it was you're funny and you're adorable, and then they get close and then you get scary, duh.
Well, there was a cute outtake from the remake where the kid's like, nope.
And I brought that up to him, but I think I left it out of the interview. But yeah, it's like, actually, it's not like they weren't unaware of that too. That's the problem. It's like you couldn't do two different versions of Pennywise. It was that hard. Tim Curry did it without extra makeup. All he had was the teeth. That was it.
Mhm.
And he still convinced you that he went through a transformation from being a goofy, funny clown to being this scary ass fucking I'm gonna eat your arm fucking clown.
Well, I think that's one of the magic that's why he's so legendary, that's why he's in all of, like, the kind of well, like, I have my on my background on my desktop background that everybody's seen, why Pennywise is, like, right there next to Michael Myers and Freddy and Jason and the Leprechaun and Leatherface, because he became so iconic because of the actor who played him. And you got some of these that aren't quite, as iconic,
Right.
like Pumpkinhead's not iconic enough to be on there, but Cujo is,
And I think Tim Curry, you're right. I think you hit on something there. I think that's the reason why Pennywise, and especially the Tim Curry version, is usually included when I buy like a lot of these T-shirts and they have like the mashups. And it'll
Mhm.
be Freddy and Chucky and Jason and Leatherface, and for some reason Pennywise will be there. Well, it's usually the Tim Curry version. That's why. Because, like I said, like you're saying too, and I think that's why, is because he's so identified with that character, just like with Freddy is with Robert Englund is with Freddy and Brad Dourif is with Chucky. That those three especially have someone who synonymously is so well known with them and is such a part of those characters that, yeah, for me it was difficult to see somebody else play Pennywise. I admit it. And no, he did not do as good a job. I'm sorry. I don't care what anybody says.
No, I he was weird, the voice was weird, in my opinion, I think. I don't know,
Right.
there's just a few things that were off about him, I think.
Yeah, he was doing like a cartoon voice.
Mhm. And you're right, no kid would go near that clown, he was creepy.
Fuck no.
Especially nowadays, especially even in the '80s, kids thought clowns were kinda creepy.
Danger, stranger, danger, stranger, danger. Oh, Congo. He's still good in Congo. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. There's a lot of great actors in Congo, and they're amazing in Congo just because the movie's fucking batshit crazy. Don't take that away from the actors. Even Ernie Hudson kicks ass in that movie. I don't care what anybody says. The movie's bad, yeah, but it's one of those it's so bad it's good movies. Yeah. I'm sorry. That's like one of those guilty pleasures of B movies of mine. But that's getting us back on where we started the topic to begin with. You're right. We need horror movie, and that's the one element Halloween was missing. And that's why I think everybody gravitated towards the babysitter and the kid, because that's where we had it a little bit, was the actual funny, good humor. They tried in a few other places in Halloween and it fell flat. But in them scenes with those two characters were gold. And that's the kind of shit that horror is missing. That's
Mhm.
the kind of camaraderie and the kind of relationships and the kind of character developments. Because that was the only person I gave a shit about really dying in that movie, besides
Well
Laurie.
well, yeah, I mean, look at all the people
No,
look at
Laurie didn't die,
the
but I'm just
Nightmare Kids and the Friday the 13th kids. How many of those kids are so memorable?
right. Right. We can name them. Yeah. And not only name them, we can tell you parts of their person. They can pass the RLM test. Definitely.
Yeah. What is their personality? What do they like? What do they
Here's a
dislike,
good one. Kincaid.
Oh, God, Kincaid, he was a badass.
He's egotistical and yeah,
He was
he's got all
tough.
kinds of, yep, brute.
God, I love Kincaid, he was cool. See, and
Heart gold.
that's one of those, it was sad to see him go because he survived the 3rd one. Spoilers, you're on a horror show if
Going,
you
yeah.
30-year-old spoiler.
Yeah. You better have seen Nightmare on Elm Street, at least 1 through 5, 6, 7, at least. Yeah. Here's a good topic for the podcast. Who will be the next greater than life actors? Who's the next Al Pacino, Christopher Walken, Harrison Ford, etc.? Well, it's not quite attached to horror, but a lot of great actors start in horror. Who do I think will be the next great? What's his face? Geez, I just lost his name. Holy shit.
Chris Pratt.
Yeah, Chris Pratt. Thank you. Chris Pratt.
He was the first one that popped into my head.
Yeah, that's the first one. He's kind of getting there, or he's kind of there. He's got that. He could definitely fill the Harrison Ford shoes, and then some, because he's got more moxie than Harrison Ford. Even, I guess, if that's the word I'm looking for.
Mhm.
But yeah, oh yeah, for separate podcasts, definitely bring it up on the next
Nathan Fillion.
or the next main show.
Mhm.
He's not bad. He's kind of an undersung guy. He's one of those you see in so much shit and you forget that he's in so much shit.
Mhm.
He plays so many different characters. Kind of like, yeah, he's another good example of one maybe. That's the thing. Hollywood tries to make so many of these guys happen. Look how long Chris Pratt was ignored. He just kind of happened because he made himself happen in a way. It was like, he got lucky with Jurassic World and Guardians of the Galaxy, yeah, but he was a nobody when he got those movies, basically. It's like nobody really knew who the fuck he was. And that was just a couple of years ago. But for how many years did they try to make what's his face happen?
Shia LaBeouf. Oh, Jai Courtney, yeah, him too.
What's his face from Avatar?
Sam, what's his
Worthington, yeah.
Yeah.
How many years have they tried making guys like that happen? And it's like, no, there's guys out there that'll happen. It's just
I don't think Sam Worthington was that great of an actor.
No, he's not. He's not.
And neither was the other one you mentioned.
No, they're not. The best thing that I've seen, no, I just forgot his fucking name. We just said Jai Courtney. God, I don't think I've seen him in anything that good, to be honest with you. Trying to think now. Wasn't he in Suicide Squad?
Yeah.
No. Yeah, okay. He played Boomerang, right?
I don't know.
I think so. I can't remember. He's all right in that, I guess. I don't know. That's about it. Suicide Squad, the only thing it had going for it is it had a decent cast. And it was in color.
It was in color. Is it sad? Is it sad? I'm now judging more movies by are they in color? Can I see what's going on?
Superman? No. I sat through that motherfucker twice in the theater. Oh.
I'm sorry.
Well, the first time, long story short, the first time I saw it, the movie was supposed to be 3D and they fucked it up. We thought we just couldn't see anything because it was dark. And then the next night we saw it, was like, yeah, it's a little bit better, but it's not much better. Can't still see shit. And it's like, where's the color? So the first night we gave the movie the benefit of doubt, thinking they fucked up the presentation. The next night it was like, no, it just looks that bad. But anyhow, I suppose we gotta wrap this up.
I don't know why they keep filming everything in black and white. I'm tired of that modern aesthetic. Same thing with the horror movies where the camera kind of floats, because they do that all the time in Discovery too, and it just drives me nuts. Like, buy a tripod, please. Just buy a tripod.
Well, these people shouldn't be allowed to use this color palette bullshit unless you're the Coen brothers. That's it. Because nobody else knows how to use it. I am so sick and tired of this digital color timing bullshit. Oh my God. Every movie does not need to be blue.
No, I'm tired. It makes it depressing.
It's sickening, and it takes all the life out of the film. At least the old chemical process, it felt more natural for some reason when they would do it. Because like the original Terminator 2 prints were tinted blue. And that was one thing a lot of people griped about the last Blu-ray release, was that they forgot the blue tint, I guess. And shit like that. But that felt more natural, and it didn't seem like it was impeding on the film so much. But now jump X amount of years ahead to Avatar, and Cameron kind of used the same blue filter, but it was digital in a way. It don't feel right. I hate that digital filter. I can tell. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I don't know if anybody else out there agrees, but
I can always tell.
Same crap. And this Child's Play trailer was the same thing. It was so fucking dark. I mean, yeah, I know they're trying to hide Chucky on purpose, which is stupid, because the picture of him they released how many months ago already? Why not just show him? Maybe they're afraid to because he looks like shit.
Maybe they CG'd him. Maybe he's not done rendering.
Oh no, that's the other thing. They made a big deal about the fact that he's not CG and he's actually fucking the same old standard way they still are doing Chucky. Then what the fuck is the point? If you're not gonna do anything different, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to get emotional about this, but I've had fought with people the last few days so much, and one of them I think was actually somebody who works for MGM, and I've just gotten to the point, and I'm not going to say too much, but I've actually had a couple people contact me that may or may not be attached to Child's Play in some way or another, thanking me for some of the shit I was doing. But I'm not going to say anything or anybody's name, because I don't want to, since they DM'd me, I don't want to say it out loud. But, it's just fucking stupid. Why? I'm going to rage on this for a while. I'm sorry, guys. There's no fucking reason we should have a Child's Play remake. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. This looked like a fan film. I'm going to say it right out. I didn't say it in the beginning of the fucking podcast because I didn't want to say it, but it does. It looks like a fucking fan film. You said it looked okay, so I was like, all right, I'm going to take your opinion on it because I'm just biased.
I might have been high when I watched it. I might have been in a better mood when I watched the trailer.
Well, what's her face? Yeah, she's a star, whatever. I could care less. And then they made the kid, I don't know if he's still Andy or not, but he's obviously got a disability. He's either deaf or hard of hearing. I don't know if you noticed he's got a hearing aid.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, and so they're going to play that up somehow, I'm sure. Maybe the plot twist is Chucky is black. They already had that in part 3. Chucky's going to be a bro.
Oh, God.
You can't not have. I'm sorry. Chucky, again, to take it, and that's what the thing is with this humor. Chucky was always funny. The first thing he fucking said made me laugh, even though it was kind of coarse, and nobody probably even remembers what that is right offhand.
Mm-mm.
You stupid bitch, you filthy slut, I'll teach you to fuck with me. That's the first thing Chucky says as a doll. Out loud in the film. Most people don't remember that. As Chucky, not, hi, I'm Chucky, want to play? Not that kind of shit, as the doll voice. The first time when he actually comes to life in front of anybody. Because she says, I'm going to throw you in the fire if you don't talk, goddamn. And he spins his head around. He goes, you filthy bitch, you filthy slut, I'll teach you to fucking me. It made me laugh. It's fucking hilarious. Fucking Brad Dourif is, and that's the thing. Brad Dourif is fucking crazy in real life. He probably is. I love Brad Dourif.
He's awesome.
He's fucking amazing.
Did you see him on Voyager?
Probably.
He did like one guest spot where he played a Vulcan. No, he played a Betazoid, so an empath. But he was but he didn't have any empathy, and he ended up being like a serial killer or something. Kind of really spooky. I liked him a lot. That was one of the better Voyager episodes, I thought.
Right. Shouldn't tell your customers where you keep things like this, John. Gets you in trouble every time. I didn't think I could get hurt, but I got shot. And it hurt. Hurt like a son of a bitch and even bled. Oh, I'm sorry. I could do the whole first Child's Play movie like right now. Like every Chucky line. Friends, remember? Friends to the end. This is the end, friend.
It was a good movie. I can't help it.
And they won't do the same pacing. They won't do the same build up. You don't see Chucky move for like 40 minutes.
Yeah, that's gonna no millennial's gonna sit through that.
No, not a chance. Chucky, I guarantee you the first time Chucky comes to life and kills somebody is within the first 5 minutes of the movie. Probably. At least 10.
Probably.
They are not going to let it linger. They are not going to set up anything like they did in the first movie. Because that was the beauty of the first movie when it came out, because they marketed it so well. Chucky wasn't even really marketed in the first place. They set the movie up to where at first, when you go into that movie cold, you're questioning whether or not it's not the kid who's fucking crazy. Because they set that movie up perfectly to where that first 40 minutes, like, you think the kid might actually be doing this shit. Mm-hmm. If you don't have a clue that Chucky is really there alive, and like, there's like a point where it's like, okay, what's really going on here? Is this really, and if they didn't have that opening sequence, you'd really be like, oh, that kid's fucking nuts. But they do it so brilliantly that like the mother finally kind of comes around and she's like, okay, this shit's, I've had enough, and she's like, she just basically tells the doll, this is it. And the doll comes to life. And that scene is just amazing. I don't give a fuck. They are never going to be able to recreate that.
No, they won't care enough to.
No, it was like Nightmare on Elm Street. You got to watch that remake just so you know what I'm talking about.
I don't want to.
I will pay you to watch it like I fucking told you. I will one of these days when I think around to it, because I know you don't want to, and I don't want to have to torture you with it, but somebody's got to share my fucking pain. And
it'd be a good rant, maybe.
Oh God, yes, you'd get a couple good rants out of it, I'm sure. Because they steal lines from like all the movies almost. They steal imagery from like all the movies, and they do it horribly. None of the characters act like they should. The parents are like almost non-existent. And Jackie Earle Haley was wasted. He could have been a decent Freddy, and they wasted him. And they spend most of the movie on a plot that goes nowhere. And they did a bunch of reshoots, of course, to fix the movie. So notorious, there's history for you. So there's a whole bunch of shit that got cut out and changed. And from what I heard, they basically reshot the movie to make it more like the original. So yeah. Anyway. So let's wrap this up. We went an hour. I didn't plan on going.
Sorry.
And I know you're tired. We got a big show in the morning. That's right. Mecca is going to be joining us. Doomcock is going to be there. We're going to be talking some Star Trek on the main channel with Andre. All the latest news and stuff that we broke on our latest video. So please join us. We're surely going to talk about the New York Times article, which I know affected you greatly.
Oh, God. Yeah. We don't have time to get into how much I was pissed by that.
No, but we'll definitely get into that tomorrow and all things Star Trek. So if you're a Star Trek fan, be sure to check it out. But obviously you're a horror fan if you're listening to us right now, or you're just bored. we pity you for that. No, I'm just kidding. No, we thank you so much for you guys joining us. We know we don't have the biggest crowd for the show, but you guys are always here for us, and we love that so much. So be sure to hit that like button. Be sure to make sure you're subscribed, which we're sure you already are. Be sure to subscribe to Mecca, of course. She talks about a lot of this stuff on her channel, like we said before. She talked about Child's Play at great length on her channel. So how she felt about the trailer. Check that out.
I was a little easier on it, though.
Yeah, you're a little easier on it, but that's all right. You know, I get it. It could be worse, but that's the problem. It's not even the point. The movie might even be good, but it's just pointless.
Yeah, it's like we don't need one. We already have one.
Yeah, you know, it's like building a McDonald's next to a McDonald's next to a McDonald's. It's just, you know, pointless. Anyway, and not even across the street like a Starbucks.
I know.
We love you too, Nihilists. So thank you so much, guys, for joining us on the Talking Horror Podcast. If it wasn't for you, we couldn't do this. Hopefully you guys dig. We might do this not this late normally, but we're kind of talking about doing it on Saturday nights. We don't know if that's a good idea or not. Kind of seems like a horror night to do things. So we'll see how that rolls. Let us know what you guys think about that in the comments, and we'll take that all into consideration, and we'll try and find a set schedule for the horror podcast. But for right now, we're trying out some different spots, and we might even try out some different features on the show. I know Mecca and I had talked a little bit about some ideas, so just stay tuned. We've got some things rolling. You never know. Maybe we'll get some really special guests and stuff in here to talk to you guys and see what we can come up with. So, of course, check that bell icon. There's been issues. People have been not getting notifications, and that's probably because even though you have the bell clicked, they added a new feature where it's only being notified sometimes. So make sure your setting is not set to the sometimes setting if you want to be notified all the time we go live. So yeah, double check that. So gotta love YouTube and their fucking changing shit, right?
Ugh, always. Yeah,
So,
I even put out a post for my community tab saying, yeah, go uncheck and recheck, because sometimes that helps. So
yeah, it's a stupid thing, and they didn't even tell us about it. They didn't even tell us about it. At least I don't remember getting anything.
How they don't tell anybody.
I noticed I wasn't getting certain notifications for things, and I checked my the bell icon, which I normally do for, you know, whatever channel. I sure as shit, I'm like, what the fuck is this? Be notified sometimes? Okay, nobody told me about that one. So yeah, double check that, guys. Anyway, we're rambling now. It's 2:30 in the morning where I'm at. It's probably what, 1:30 where you're at?
It's 1:30.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us this Saturday evening, early Sunday morning, wherever you're at, whatever it is. And we'll hope to see you again on some Talking Horror next time. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.